Okay, I will call to order the Plain Township Board of Zoning Appeals regular meeting for this evening, December 1st, 2021. First, we'll take an attendance roll call, so if you would, Mr. Ferrara.
Ms. Servo.
Here.
Mr. Souls.
Here.
Mr. Beck.
Here.
Mr. BZA.
Here.
And Mr. Reichel.
I am present as well. I'd like to introduce the members that's seated up here before you this evening. To my far right is Ms. Tia Cernova. Seated next to her is Mr. Robert Souls. To my immediate right is Mr. Demetrius Poussalides. To my immediate left is Mr. Richard Beck. And to my far left is our zoning director, Thomas Ferrara. And I am your chairman. My name is Timothy Reichel. Are there any changes to the agenda this evening? None?
No.
Next, we have the statement of duties. Unless you guys want to take naps for about an hour and a half, the statement of duties are in the back. You can read those or get them from the office. We kind of stopped reading them because we see people dozing off. So those are in the back. We'll take the approval of minutes for the October 6th, 2021.
Ms. Servo.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to
Yes.
approve the minutes.
Motion, I'm sorry.
Motion to approve the minutes. Second.
Now we
can do it.
Now we can do it.
Ms. Servo, yes. Mr. Souls.
Yes.
Mr. Beck. Yes. Mr. BZA.
Yes.
Mr. Reichel.
And I'm going to abstain. I was not at that meeting. And any other unfinished business to be brought before the board this evening?
None.
None? Okay, we'll move right ahead to new business. We have 3 appeals this evening. We have appeal number 1334-21, which involves Mr. Grant Giltz. We have appeal 1335-21, involving Ms. Nicole Lassard. And appeal number 1336-21, and that involves Patricia Ricosi. Is that pronounced correctly?
Yes. That she's not here yet.
Okay, she's not here. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and read into the record. We always ask for fire department comments. This is to Timothy Reichel, Chairman, from Scott Kelly, Inspector, date November 16, 2021, review of appeals. Again, for brevity, this appeals to all 3 appeals that I had just mentioned earlier. And the fire department has no recommendations or suggestions regarding any of the 3 appeals that will be heard this evening. Thank you for your consideration. Scott Kelly, Inspector. I am going to go ahead and administer the oath. If you are going to speak in front of this group this evening, I need you to raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the information you are about to present is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
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 Procedurally, when we call your appeal, please come up to the podium. I know I speak somewhat fast, and I try and slow it down for our stenographer and our reporter over here. So please make yourself heard when you're up here. And what I want to hear is your name and address for the record before you speak to the appeal. So moving right ahead with appeal number 1. This is appeal number 1334-21. Applicant owner Grant W. Giltz, GTW 62 LLC, Carol Ann Cope and Clyde Miller, trustee. Applicant requests a conditionally permitted use to construct a planned commercial complex for 2 or more uses as conditionally permitted in this district. The property is located at 3801 Harmont Avenue, Canton, Ohio 44705, that being parcel number 52-19354. Again, this is to address section 713.2, uses. B, section B, conditionally permitted uses, two, planned commercial complex for 2 or more uses as conditionally permitted in this district. Is there someone here to present this appeal?
Yes. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Grant Giltz, 4835 Munson Street, Canton, Ohio, 44718. I'm here on behalf of the conditional use. I just meant to pass this.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the reason with the conditional use is to just, in the documents in front of you, is just to put some color as to what the overall development is starting to shape up for the former Kmart property. We are wanting to put at a minimum 2 users right now on the property, maybe more users at some future date. But we currently are planning, we have a deal with Aldi's to go in the northwest corner of Harmont and Route 62. And so they would be relocating from their previous or current location right on Lesh Road in the shopping center and moving to Plain Township and building a freestanding prototypical Aldi store. It's a prototypical store. It's roughly 28,000 square feet. They want to build it to their current standards, to their current prototype model. The closest model that looks somewhat similar to what they plan on building is up in green. This is even a little bit different than green. It's a little bit more, I want to call it edgier, with some slanted roof lines. But it's part of a overall transformation that we're trying to make with the Kmart property. And so with that, this is one of the steps that we need to get approved to make it happen.
Okay, is there anyone else to speak for the appeal? Is there anyone present to speak against the appeal? Entertain questions from the board.
So Grant, it looks like what's currently there now is a bunch of those buildings that they build, like outbuildings and whatnot, that they sell sheds and things like that?
Correct.
That's where you'd be basically putting
It is.
to tear down that existing, what was it, gas station building right there?
Gas station's down. There was a tire store. We tore that down already. So, yeah, Millcraft Barns has their sheds out there. Some of the barns are behind us now. We partnered up with them to create a little holiday village at Oakland Square here. So, but yes, that's where all these would be placed there.
What would be done with the existing Kmart building that sits right now?
So right now, the plan is to redevelop the Kmart building. We eventually will want to get a rezoning to the property to a light industrial use to accommodate a multitude of future users.
Kind of repurpose the building?
Yes. Yeah. And so it's going to be a new skin on the building, new face, new front, new parking lot, new roof. Basically, the only thing that's good on the Kmart building are the 4 walls. Everything else is just trash. So we know what we're in for on the development. Right now, we're just trying to get the preliminary process out of the way. I think all these will be a good jump start to just help refocus that intersection of that property and to just sort of shine a new light that has kind of been dimly lit for many, many years now.
Now, GTW 62 is the entity that you're leasing the property from the owner, or
So
purchasing?
GTW is our company that I'm a
Right.
part of, and so we have a master lease with the actual property owner, the Miller family.
Miller Trust.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so,
Okay. I don't have any further questions.
The existing building immediately to the west is on this map. Refresh my memory, what is that currently now?
that used to be a tire store,
That's where I thought it was.
and we tore the tire store down. This still does show on this map, I apologize.
That's no longer there.
That's no longer there, correct. The gas station that is, where the Aldi's location is, that's no longer there either. So just right now on the property, it's just the Kmart building.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion. Appeal number 1334-21, applicant owner Grant Giltz, who is here on behalf of GTW 62 LLC, and Carol Ann Cope and Clyde Miller, trustee. Applicant requests a conditionally permitted use to construct a planned commercial complex for 2 or more uses as a conditionally permitted use in the district. Property is located at 3801 Harmont Avenue, Canton 44705. That is parcel number 52-19354. Under section 713.2 uses. Under B, conditionally permitted uses, a planned commercial complex for 2 or more uses as conditionally permitted in this district. Now therefore be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Zoning Appeals to grant the request.
I'll second that. Any further discussion before?
I would just have been in favor of it. Obviously, Mr. Giltz and his company have done a great job with Oakwood Square. I'm assuming they would do the same thing with this blighted property that has existed for some period of time and does need some improvement. And the plans that have been submitted, for the conditionally permitted use for a planned commercial complex, I think would be great. So I would be in favor of it.
Anyone else? Okay. Vote?
Ms. Cernova?
Yes.
Mr. Solls?
Yes.
Mr. Beck?
Yes.
Mr. Pucilides?
Yes.
Mr. Riegel?
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Good luck.
Thank you, Mr. Giltz, and good luck with that one.
Thank you.
And what I see out front here, I think you'll do just fine. Or behind me, I guess I should say. Behind me.
Hopefully you guys can find a spot at John's bar tonight, if you don't mind.
That's right, it opened today.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Today was their official opening. Okay.
Got a new winery that just opened back there too.
Really?
Forever Winery. Over near the Cleveland Clinic.
Yeah.
Quicker.
That thing's about all done.
Almost.
All spilled out. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to appeal, our second appeal this evening. This is appeal number 1335-21. Applicant owner Nicole Lassard, 5189 Tango Drive, Northeast Louisville, Ohio, 44641. Applicant requests a variance to construct a new single-family residential home on a 20,000 square foot parcel. When the zoning resolution calls for the minimum lot area to be 2 acres for 87,120 square feet, which will require a lot size variance of 67,120 square feet on a parcel noted as 52-03437. And this is to address section 701.3 minimum lot and yard requirements. If no sanitary sewer is available, the minimum lot area shall be increased to 2 acres. Is there anyone here to speak for the appeal? Again, sir, please come up to the podium and state your name and address.
My name is Mike Boylan, Cutler Real Estate, 1727 Sedgwick, Massillon, Ohio.
Okay, and go ahead and present your appeal.
So, this property that you have on your map, it's outlined in red, was for sale. The realtor had said that it was probably too small to build on. It had been for sale forever. So the homeowners hired, and I helped them hire a soil scientist, and they came out and did the test. We turned it into the Stark County Health Department, and they passed it for a septic system, the way it sits. Had it all drawn up with a house on it, the actual house that they want to build, which you have a picture of in there, and everything fit just fine. They passed it and approved it for septic. So these folks would like to build their house there and ask for the exception. As you notice on the map, all the other parcels around it, all the other houses are the same size.
You have, this is also a picture of the property there.
You have this, so it's in your package, but it's
Oh, yeah, yeah. I
the
recall.
same size lot as all of the neighbor properties.
Absolutely.
So they got approved for a 3-bedroom, they're building a 3-bedroom house, and he's gonna come up here and he'll tell you what house they're building with Wayne Homes. It's a really nice house, can fit on the lot.
Very good. Anyone else to speak for the appeal?
Lucian Lazar, 5189 Tanglewood Drive, Louisville, Ohio, as of right now.
Nichols, Lazar, same I guess.
So, yeah, we're trying to build a single-family home for my wife and my 2 kids, young kids. We put a lot of time and money already into this because we figured it was approved already for septic. At the time, we didn't know that we needed 2 acres. So we probably got about, between the lot and the leach beds that have already been put in, probably between $30,000 and $40,000 already invested. So that's kind of where we stand on that.
It's not a huge house that we're building, we're just building a little cute split level house. It's not immaculate or anything.
Understood.
Just,
It's the Princeton 2 from Wayne Homes, if anybody.
Is this one of those where, out there at the junction past Worcester, where they have that junction and it has all the homes?
I don't think they have that model out there, but it is.
You have a picture of it, the rendering. in your
I saw that,
package.
but I mean, is that where you got the idea to get a Wayne home? Because I
Yeah,
wondered about
yeah.
people that
We did
stop and all
we
those.
did a lot of research. with
Okay.
A bunch of different builders and stuff like that. We didn't want to build in a big, huge development, and we've seen this lot online, and we drove through and we really liked the neighborhood. Because it's an established neighborhood, it's quiet, we got 2 young kids, so.
I just wanted to be able to recognize them all.
So their kids already go to your schools,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's really hard to find a lot in Clinton Township to build on in that price range. So it took a long time to go through a lot of lots.
yeah, we actually lived over across from
The middle school.
the middle, well, the 5th grade school, 5th and 6th
Okay.
before. So we sold our house and wanted to move out this way, so.
Sounds like you put your minds together and
Yeah.
come up with a very good solution.
Yep.
Anyone else to speak for the appeal? Is there anyone to speak against the appeal? Yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Somebody left their driver.
Oh.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Hi, my name is Cynthia Montgomery, residing at 1312 Echo Street Northeast, Canton, Ohio, 44721. I would be the property immediately to the east of the property in question. And we have been in that home since 2005. We purchased it, so we've seen some comings and goings. As was said, it is a very established neighborhood. We've had a few move-in and moves out, but not very much. The homes, as was mentioned in one of the documents that was submitted, I believe by Mr. Ferreira, did indicate that it was an older set of homes, that we were primarily built in the 60s. Was it your document, sir? Am I speaking correctly? Okay, thank you. I apologize, first time I've ever done this, so I'm not very experienced. I know
Take your
nothing about
time.
zoning, so if I use something incorrectly, please feel free to correct me or question me.
Take your time.
Thank you. You can tell I'm a little nervous, huh? So we have had that lot go for sale, as was mentioned numerous times. Various neighbors have always inquired about the property, because when we bought the home, we were told that the property next to us would not be able to be built on until sewer came through the neighborhood. And so each time it comes up for sale, someone would give a call either to the realtor, to zoning, to the health department, see if anything had changed. We were told, no, 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 no. Nothing was able to be done. It would go off sale, it would come back up again in about 2 years. This time it came up for sale. I made a phone call and was told same thing. It had to be, from the health department perspective, 30,000 square feet to approve the septic. We were only 20 there. that according to the zoning requirements, that it had to be 2 acres. It wasn't close, it would not be a buildable lot. Thought it was the same old usual. Next thing we know, we had, I'm sorry, I've only met you once, I know. Our potential new neighbors were there, and they were in the process of purchasing the property, and expressed some concern with, are you sure this is a buildable property? You know, we've been told it is not. So we got this notice from Plain Township Zoning Department stating that they wanted to do this variance. So started doing a little bit of thinking about it. I'm sorry, let me back up one thought. And I apologize, I don't script read here. One of the things that happened before we received this notice for hearing was that the leach bed, the septic system, seemed to be already installed. We have the backyard dug up. I've got pipes sticking out of the ground facing my house, wondering what's going on. Call the zoning department. They're like, nope, there's no permit applied for. There should be nothing happening in that area. Septic is totally separate from zoning, which I now understand. I didn't realize there were 2 totally separate things happening there. And gave a call to the health department. Left a message for Chris. I apologize, don't have the last name off the top of my head. Spoke to him briefly. Understand it was approved. Septic's approved. Done deal. Don't really have a problem with that. Did receive, as I said, the notice. Made a couple phone calls, of course, sort of the what's going on. And I requested that the documents related to their variance process, if I could take a look at them, or if I had to come down. The woman I spoke with was kind enough to email them to me, so I did take a look at those last week. And one of the things that caught my attention, related specifically to the septic system, was a document from Accurate On-Site that is titled Septic Installation and Maintenance Concerns, where they cite their concerns with the small property. And I apologize, it's towards the bottom of that page. I'm assuming you have all the documents. I didn't know I was supposed to prepare something or mark something on papers. But they even mentioned that this lot is a very tight area for this planned home. It features easements and septic areas. It, and then it's in caps, not in caps, in bold, it's critical that the septic area be protected from traffic. There must not be any equipment traversing across them, no dirt stockpiling, no storing of building materials. And I'm looking at this small lot and I'm wondering, first of all, how do you start on a property without having all the permits? Especially when you're working with somebody like Wayne Homes. If they were doing their own contract work, I would get, you don't necessarily know what all you need. But I would think with a large builder like that, everything would be in place before they got that far. But septic was approved, like I said, leach beds are in, but I'm very concerned with how they're going to be able to build and still meet these septic restrictions, not using anything in the back of that lot. And it also says at the very end of that same paragraph, just let me get my mask, sorry. Might be a little bit clearer if I pull that down, huh? That anything in this nature could invalidate the septic design and there would not be any acceptable area available to replace them. Speaking of that leach field. So I'm concerned with how they're actually going to move forward and build this property. Totally separate to that, and related directly to the 2017 zoning resolution and district regulations that I was able to find, which you were mentioning earlier, sir. The pages of 49 and 50 with the rural, or RR, what is that, rural residential? Is that correct? Thank you. Area that we are designated. I looked into that a little bit, and it appears that that was done around 2017. But a lot of those guidelines seem to have been put in place since '05. When they're saying that 2 acres is required or a sewer is required. Our homes have been there, as I said earlier, since the 60s and 70s. obviously, the people who looked at this, whether they're by title, credentials, the people who made this recommendation to the board obviously had the experience to look at the area, know what we already have in place, and say, hey, we request that this be, this RR designation tells me that we're not really situated to be able to handle more, that they're recommending this 2-acre requirement. And then obviously it was approved by the zoning board also with that 2017 update. And I apologize if there's a more recent one, that's the only one I could find online. So if something has changed with that, please let me know. But again, it's saying with sewer, you're good with 20,000 square feet. So basically, I'm a rule follower, I'm a black and white person. To me, you either wait until the sewer comes through, or you get the designation changed. It's a very simple black and white kind of matter. You know, like I said, our homes were older. If they're concerned about balancing the environment, I believe it said that RR was either agriculture or environmentally sensitive, I believe were the words they used. We're not agriculture, so we gotta fall in that environmentally sensitive. So I'm concerned with basically the spacing that's allowed. I can tell you personally, and this is a little side, in '05 when we bought the house, we were told sewer was coming soon. Obviously that hasn't happened yet, so I don't know what the plan is for that. Above that, you know, I did mention I had concern for how they could start improving the property already without having everything in place. And I just really don't understand that. And I just had asked for your consideration of our thoughts. You know, it just doesn't seem right. I don't mind having a house there. Actually, it'd be great not to have the trash, the weeds, everything else blowing across my yard. I'm not against having a house there. Just follow the rules to do it, please. I believe those are in place for a reason. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, any questions for me? I know I got a little wordy, I apologize for that.
Not at this point in time. There's another gentleman that wants to
Okay.
speak as well.
Thank you.
Sean Coggy, 1270 Maple Street, Northeast Canton. I'm to the west of the lot. My concern here is this is not a variance for 10, 15 feet to make the house wider or bigger, fit the lot. This is, it's 67,000 feet variance, which seems a little excess to me. Like she mentioned, there's the room for the 2 acres. If there was a clause in the rules that said that this lot was grandfathered, there are a lot of lots in the neighborhoods that could be built. I would just like to have seen that in the regulations. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Could I? Yes, you may come back up.
So when they purchased the lots, I was under the understanding that they were able to do what they wanted to do. So it's my fault. So they were told to stop and not continue to build, and they have. So I missed that. I thought because it was the same size as the other ones and that the health department passed it, that we could build a house there. So it's my fault. And the septic systems today are so much better than the old ones. And the way they laid it out, it will work just fine, the newer systems. It will fit the lot just fine. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Now, any questions from the board?
Mr. Lechel, if I might, 2 items. The RR designation for that area was established well before 2005. So it's been on there for a while. And on the septic system, I called to verify with the health department, and I was told that it's approved and going in, and that there shouldn't be a problem. They have to have a certain distance from the house.
When? they gonna get it done?
Good.
The septic system, did they? Oh, maybe
Right,
I
can't
missed
do
it.
it till this.
Until the, go ahead.
Well, my understanding is that the reason they're here is because there is not a septic system. Am I wrong on that?
There's not sewer.
There's not a sewer.
Okay.
There's no sewer, so they started putting in a septic system under the understanding that they had the ability to do it based upon the similar lots in the neighborhood.
But there's no sewer, is there sewer in this area? There's no sewer?
Not to the neighborhood.
Correct. Everyone there has
Septic.
septic.
Correct, and we had to have ours replaced in '07. So I'm familiar with the
So
processing.
them getting the septic isn't going to change the fact that they don't have they still have to have the variance,
They need a variance for the square footage,
whether they have a septic or not.
yes, to be able to build.
Any other questions?
So the issue's not really with the septic, it's with the fact that it's a rural designated and the house lot is
Correct,
not big enough.
correct.
But none of them are.
None of them.
Well, the vast majority, there might be a couple in there, but I don't see any that are even close to 2 acres.
So they're grandfathered under the original zoning? I mean, in a sense.
The new lots are not grandfathered because
They weren't built.
Right, but if they were
Right.
built in the 60s. Yeah.
and they're on the same size lots with septic. So,
So do you have that map that I gave you, like their lots that they have owned are the same size as the ones that they want to build on? They're all the same size.
That is correct. Our lots are approximately the same size. We just happened to be there well before all the zoning restrictions came into play.
You have questions? Any questions? Okay. Do I have a motion? I'll make the motion. Appeal number 1335-21, applicant owner Nicole Lassard, 5189 Tanglewood Drive, Northeast Louisville, Ohio 44641. Applicant requests a variance to construct a new single-family residential home on a 20,000 square foot parcel. And the zoning resolution calls for the minimum lot area to be 2 acres. Or 87,120 square feet, which will require a lot size variance of 67,120 square feet on parcel noted as 52-03437. Again, addressing section 701.3 minimum lot and yard requirements. If no sanitary sewer is available, the minimum lot area shall be increased to 2 acres. Now therefore, it be hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Zoning Appeals to grant the request.
Second.
Any further questions? Comments? Comments,
I would say from a discussion standpoint, first, I will say when I first saw this, I looked at the variance and I was kind of under the same assumption as, holy tamale, this is quite large, and initially, without digging into it or reading it, initially I was initially not in favor of it. And certainly, ma'am, that you talk about, black and white rule follower, that's the purpose of variances, that we do have black and white rules, but we also have variances that allow folks who are in difficult positions or face practical difficulties with the development of their lot to go ahead and seek a variance from this board for approval. And as it relates to this, it appears as if the health department has, looked at it quite in detail and determined that a septic system will work on this particular lot. fact, it sounds like you in 2007 or 8 had your own septic replaced on, your own lot as an example.
Correct, but I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Relax.
So, ultimately, if you were in a situation where your house was just being built, you wouldn't have been able to build on this lot as these folks have. So, based upon primarily the fact that the health department has looked at this, has determined that a house can be built in conjunction with the processes and science that is of today, and also that the fact that all of the other homes in this neighborhood are primarily all same or similar size, and also have septic, I would be in favor of this appeal, despite the size of the variance. Personally, that's just my opinion.
Any other comments? Roll call vote?
Ms. Zermelo?
Yes.
Mr. Solz?
Yes.
Mr. Beck?
Yes.
Mr. Pusillanimos?
Yes.
And Mr. Reichel?
Yes. And again, I'd like to just say that I'm in accord with the thinking and the explanation given by Mr. Solz. Again, almost to a T on what he said when I first read it, and then after looking at the maps of similar sized homes, all with septic, I'm granting my personal opinion is I think the variance should be. Moving on to appeal number 3 this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This will take me a while to read this one. So appeal number 1336-21, applicant and owner Patricia Ricosi, 7007 East Pleasant Valley Road, Independence, Ohio, 44131. Redwood Living, Inc., 8525 Richmond Road, Rhode Island, Ohio, 44254. The applicant is requesting 7 setback variances for 7 different apartment buildings along the east side property line, extending approximately 800 feet south of Mount Pleasant Street, northwest, with setbacks ranging from as little as 10 feet to 20.7 feet. To be addressed are Building B, 20.7 yard setback proposed, 25 foot required, 4.3 foot variance requested on the east side of the lot. Building C, 13 foot rear yard setback proposed, 30 foot required, 17 feet variance requested on the east side of the lot. Building D, 10 foot rear yard setback proposed, 30 foot required, 20 foot variance requested on the east side of the lot. Building E, 13 foot rear yard setback proposed, 30 foot required, 17 foot variance requested on the east side of the lot. Building F, 14.8 foot side yard setback proposed, 25 foot required, 10.2 feet variance requested on the east side of the lot. Building L, 20 foot side yard setback proposed, 25 foot required, 5 foot variance requested on the east side of the lot. Building M, 20 foot side yard setback proposed, 25 foot required, 5 foot variance requested on the east side of the lot. It's a lot of feet and foots. Anyone here to present the appeal? Please come to the podium. You got here late, correct?
Yes,
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and swear you in.
I apologize for that, we got stuck in traffic on 77.
You do not have to apologize. I was on that same traffic today and it was horrendous.
Were you coming down the
It
south?
still is.
Were you stuck with the accident?
No, I did not see an accident,
It
but
was bad today.
even with that construction going on, I was in Youngstown, so I came back 76 and down 77, and it was
It's bad.
bad. So,
And the rain doesn't help.
rain and darkness.
No.
I hate driving in rain and dark. Okay, if you'll raise your right hands, please. Do you swear or affirm that the information you are about to present is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead then and present your appeal, please.
Can you get that to come back on?
Sure.
Do we need to give our name and address?
Please, for our reporter.
Patricia Rakoski, 7007 East Pleasant Valley Road, Independence, Ohio.
Matt Duncan, Davy Resource Group, 5599 Stones Road Drive, Worcester, Ohio.
Were you able to get that, Josie?
I'll get it later.
Okay.
Once that comes up. What we thought we would do is,
Well, I didn't know we had movies. Where's the popcorn?
we left it in the rain.
Yeah, it's soaking wet.
What we thought we would do is show you up here exactly where, I know you have all papers in front of you, but so that we can talk about each one. And then I also have a few things I'll say before Matt does that. And then I do have the Duncan factors. I didn't know if you wanted me to go through those. I'm not sure how the board works, but I'll do whatever you'd like me to do. Just to let you know, our site was approved. It meets all zoning requirements for R3 low density, and it was originally rezoned from RR to R3 about 2 years ago. Due to financing requirements, 2 phases were required. 129 units, which is phase 1, and then 48 units in phase 2, for a total of 177. Phasing in land development is a normal practice and procedure based on certain parameters, which can include, which are driven by the bank, which include number of units, building construction materials, supply lines, shortages, and availability to trades, to name a few. So the reason we had to phase is typically when we have 177 units, the lender requires us to do more than just one phase. We have to do 2 phases. In that case, it's what we had to do. When we went through the original zoning process and site plan approval, we met all compliance for the zoning, and we did not need any variances at that point. Our site plan was fully approved with no variances required in phase 1. The variances being requested for phase 2 comply with the intent of zoning and have been created, again, due to financing and lender requirements. All setback variances are on the east side of the property and do not affect any adjacent parcels. I would consider this more of a technical variance. And then Matt can go into that a little more. But just to give you a little background too on the current site right now that we have. Again, phase 1 is 129 units. We have 52 apartment homes that are CO'd. Of those, all of them are already being moved into, with a total of 87 other people waiting. And so right now, we have 94 apartment homes that have already been ready to be leased out, even though we've only had 52 CO'd. So the site is moving so quickly, which is great, that's why we're here today, to move forward with phase 2. But to do phase 2, we need to be able to get the variances for the setback.
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard for you guys to see that over there, but,
You want me to hold that?
so here's the site. Basically, what we're proposing is this phase line that's coming right through here, this would be the new property line. So that's why we're asking for the variances, because when creating this new property line, these buildings here along this new property line are not going to meet the setbacks. So that's why there's so many side yard and rear yard setbacks. So as Pat was saying, it's not really affecting any of the neighbors. This is self-inflicted internally within the development.
Mount Pleasant's at the top.
Yeah, this is
That
Mount
is
Pleasant
correct,
here, yeah.
And that is your huge retention basin over there?
That is owned by the county.
It's
That's the
the county.
county's retention
Okay.
basin.
But that is correct.
Yep.
That
Our
is the
retention
big
basin
one, and that is, I assume that help control the Zimber ditch situation and all that kind of stuff.
And they're looking at enlarging it.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, as you can see, there's no neighbors that are affected on this east side. It is owned by the county. It's the retention basin there. We met with the county and the township, and to make this not a landlocked parcel for phase two, we agreed that we would put this road down and have a 50-foot frontage along Mount Pleasant. That's why it runs along that property line like that. So
That's a
that-
road?
It's not a road.
Just be a,
Just to get the frontage.
Yeah,
Yes,
just to get the
exactly right.
frontage.
Yes.
Okay.
So you're splitting the lot, basically. what you're
Yes.
doing.
Just splitting the lot, yeah. But when we're splitting the lot, that's what's creating
Right.
these variances.
And that's
that we're
basically for purposes of financing, you
Yes.
split the lot.
asking. Yeah.
yes, sir.
The layout, the layout of the,
It's all the same.
everything's the same. That was approved in phase one.
Anyone else to speak for the appeal? Anyone to speak against the appeal? Yeah, I guess you're splitting a lot, and if this was not granted by this board here, it'd be financially catastrophic for it.
We couldn't build on that phase. It would be bad.
And again, that's on the side of the county-owned retention basin, and there are no neighbors to that eastern side. I just see a lot of deer run through there too.
Well, and the other thing too is that the buildings haven't moved from the original one.
Right?
So we're still the same space from the original property line. It's just we're having to create that one to get the frontage.
Why is it you couldn't build on that? Because you have different lender? Is that what's going on? Or what's the,
Well, the reason if we couldn't get the variances, then I wouldn't be able to do the split, and then I wouldn't be, and the land would be landlocked, and I wouldn't be able to build on it.
aren't you splitting the parcel? Or is it already?
No, we will be splitting it, you know, over right here and going up. But
Well, if you didn't split it though, you could still build on it
well, I wouldn't be able to because I couldn't get a loan on it, because it's different to LLCs. Like Redwood
That's-
owns.
though. No, that's what I was getting at.
Okay,
That's
yes.
why it's happening.
Yes, sorry.
So, yeah, I understand that that's
Yeah.
why it's happening. Okay, I got you. Okay. Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion. Applicant and owner Patricia Ricosi, 7007 East Pleasant Valley Road, Independence, Ohio, and Redwood Living, Inc., 8525 Richmond Road, Lodi, Ohio. Applicant is requesting 7 setback variances for 7 different apartment buildings along the east side property line, extending approximately 800 feet south of Mount Pleasant Street Northwest, with setbacks ranging from as little as 10 feet to 20.7 feet. Building B, 20.7 yard setback proposed, 25 foot required, 4.3 foot variance requested on the east side of the lot. Building C, 13-foot rear yard setback proposed, 30 foot required, 17-foot variance requested on the east side of the lot. Building D, a 10-foot rear yard setback proposed, 30-foot required, 20-foot variance requested on the east side of the lot. Building E, 13-foot rear yard setback proposed, 30-foot required, 17-foot variance requested on the east side of the lot. Building F, 14.8-foot side yard setback proposed, 25-foot required, 10.2 feet variance requested on the east side of the lot. Building L, 20-foot side yard setback proposed, 25-foot required, 5-foot variance requested on the east side of the lot. And Building M, 20-foot side yard setback proposed, 25-foot required, 5-foot variance requested on the east side of the lot. Now therefore be hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Zoning Appeals to grant the request.
Second.
I'm sorry, who seconded?
Mr. Bruce Lee.
Oh, were you ready for a vote?
Does anybody have any?
No, I'm satisfied with the testimony. I mean, it's no different than what was approved and proposed. Obviously, they're doing a lot split into 2 lots, which I guess we can do. I can argue that, it's self-inflicted, but I'm not necessarily opposed to this.
Take a vote?
Ms. Cernova?
Yes.
Mr. Solz?
Yes.
Mr. Beck?
Yes.
Mr. Pucilides?
Yes.
And Mr. Reichel?
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Sir, do you have a card by chance?
Drive carefully.
Yes, you as well.
Going home.
Okay,
Move to adjourn.
thank you very much.
Second,
Aye.
Aye.
any discussion? This meeting is adjourned.